Strangers and Aliens, the Superman 2025 review conversation with Ben and Evan.
Hooray!
Hey everyone, I'm Ben and Avery. This is Strangers and Aliens. And hey, did you hear that voice that said hooray just before I played the sounder? If you did, that's because Evan is here. It's been a while, Evan. How you doing?
It has been a while, and I'm doing well. How's all that homework coming that we discussed last time?
What? I watched half an episode.
It's good. I'm glad we discussed all that homework and
Yeah,
assigned it.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
good
But
stuff.
I I do whenever I get into HBO Max now, HBO Max, I get reminded that I can continue watching the the Unicorn Show, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was one of my
Well,
homework assignments.
and we discussed a lot of Star Wars content
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. Well, I've been enjoying myself watching other things,
Oh,
so
that's good.
yeah, yeah. But we're not here to talk about any of that other stuff. We're not going to talk about Squid Game. We're not going to talk about anything Marvel, Star Trek, anything like that. We are here specifically to talk about the new Superman movie. We're going to talk about our experience. We're going to talk about it non-spoiler, and then we will play the spoiler organ, and then we will spoil this movie and talk about specifics and details that we maybe liked or didn't like. But to start with, we are going to talk about just general things about this movie, how we enjoyed it or didn't, and yeah, we're gonna jump into it right now. So, Strangers and Aliens, if you were wondering, is a podcast about science fiction and spirituality, about fantasy and faith, about creativity and Christianity, and we have been on this podcast. We've talked about Superman quite a bit because both of us, both Evan and I, are big fans of the Big Blue and have been for a long time. I've been a fan longer than it has. I will just say that right now, but that's also because I'm about 45 years older than Evan. So, yeah. But
I don't think that's the actual age gap.
it is not. It is not. Um, but also, I will say, I also did not walk down the aisle at my wedding to the Superman March. So
Well,
there is
neither did
that.
I. It
Oh,
was
that's right. That's right. It was the,
entrance to the reception.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Which I was there. I was there. We've told this story a couple times, but I
Yes.
was there for it because I was cleaning the church during their reception. So I heard the Superman March while I was cleaning the nursery. So
Nice.
yeah, yeah. I will still remember that. I barely knew you at that point, but
Yep. Yep.
I will remember standing in the nursery vacuuming. I turned the vacuum off and I'm like, what do I hear? What is going on over there in the sanctuary? So, yeah. Yeah. So long-term fans, Evan, let's just talk about like what are your favorite parts of your fandom so we can kind of get a baseline as we talk about this movie. Like when you're thinking Superman, what are you thinking? Where does your mind go?
Ooh, good questions. All right. So I love Superman the Animated Series from the 1990s, starring Tim Daly. I love the 1985 reboot of the Superman continuity, starting with John Byrne's Man of Steel series. And I love the Jeff Loeb 1999 through mid 2000s run of Superman in the comics as well.
All
And so
right.
those would be my like core memory Superman stuff. I'm also a big fan of the current show of My Adventures with Superman. That's not really a core foundational one, but I'm a big fan of that show.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, core foundation, I mean, it goes way, 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 way back to Super Friends, to watching the black and white TV show, and of course Superman the movie, which really that is a core foundation for me. Like that, I saw it in the theater, and then the other ones I watched on TV and on VHS, I didn't see in the theater, just because I can't remember exactly why we didn't see Superman 4 in the theater. That's we were going to movies at that point, but we didn't live near a theater. If we were going to make a trip to a movie, it was a long trip. It was about an hour drive to get to North Bay to go to the theater. So it just Star Wars, we made the trip. E.T. we made the trip, but we didn't for like Superman 2, Superman 3. But I mean, Christopher Reeve is definitely like, he is in a lot of ways for me just kind of the ideal of Superman. And I'm rewatching the Reeve movies right now, and I will say there are cracks in the foundation when you watch those movies now, or at least when I watch these movies now. But whatever's wrong with those movies, it ain't Christopher Reeve. It
Sure.
just isn't. Um, I was thinking about how it's like Tom Baker with Doctor Who, where as bad as Doctor Who can get when Tom Baker's seasons are on, um, it's not Tom Baker. He elevates everything just by being there, and even the bad script and bad effects and stuff like that. And I would say the same thing for Christopher Reeve. He elevates even the bad Superman movies. But really, though, that's kind of the foundation for me. I appreciate Superman as a character because he is just this ideal of someone who isn't perfect, but is trying to do his best and do whatever he can with what he has to make the world a better place. And so when I watch a Superman thing or read a Superman thing, that's the kind of thing I'm looking for. And there are times when I'll read a Superman comic and just think to myself, this writer doesn't get Superman, or doesn't want to get Superman the way that I get him.
Yep.
This writer wants to turn Superman into something else, or yeah. So speaking about the Superman movies that we've had, though, just briefly, thumbs up or thumbs down, with maybe another sentence to go along with it. Superman Christopher Reeve movies, thumbs up, thumbs down.
You're lumping them all together?
Real quick, we're doing it real fast.
Oh my goodness. Thumbs up.
Okay, yeah, thumbs up for me. You can say a little bit to go along with it, though, if you want to.
Thumbs up, except for Superman 4. The one part of Superman 4 I like was the Fred Flintstone double date that he attempted to do with Clark Kent and Superman in the same one. That's classic.
It's a good moment.
Yeah.
It's a good moment. I was thinking about Superman 3, which is my least favorite, and I know you really like Superman 3.
That is my favorite of the Christopher Reeve films.
But when I was thinking about it, there are some of the best and worst moments in the Superman movies in that one movie. Some of the best Superman stuff happens in that movie. And then it takes off the boots, the super boots, and puts on clown shoes. But yeah.
I disagree.
Superman Returns, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up. That was the one that really launched me into more of the broader Superman fandom, from just being into the comics and the animated series. But yeah, I love that movie, even though it has its flaws.
I would give it it's a thumbs up in my soul as well. Zack Snyder, thumbs up, thumbs down when it comes to Superman.
Thumb sideways, hanging sideways.
I'll allow it cheating. Yeah.
That was the first live action Superman where we've really nailed his speed and power, I think. But the characterization of all the characters was way off.
And I would lean more towards thumbs up than thumbs sideways for sure. I liked the portrayal. It was definitely a different portrayal, but I did like watching, especially Man of Steel. Man of Steel for me was a really good Superman movie in my opinion. George Reeves Superman, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up.
All right, me too. And you've already talked about the animated series. I'm assuming thumbs up for that.
Oh, yes.
Lois and Clark.
Oh, super thumbs up.
Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher.
That's a more thumbs up than all the rest of them we've mentioned so far, I think.
Really?
The casting for that was just fantastic.
Yeah, it was a fun series. How about Smallville? I think I know where you're going, but
sideways thumb.
Oh, I did not know where you were going.
Yep. Sideways thumb, Ben. I have a love-hate relationship with that show. I loved it when it was on, and then I rewatched through it, and I'm like, oh man, like this, it's just, I could see many of the cracks, and now I'm just kind of real iffy on it.
It's 10 seasons.
Yeah,
that is a long time to go with a show.
And it's not prestige television 10 seasons.
No.
It's network television.
It's network episodic television. Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of our live action, really kind of setting that baseline. But um, just very quick, Evan, what draws you to Superman? What is it about Superman that you say, I like this character? I want to read about him. I want to watch movies about him. What is it about the big blue, the big S?
Well, it's pretty much the same as you said. He's not perfect, but he tries to just like he doesn't have a tragic backstory that motivates him. His backstory is he has been raised to do what is right, and what is right is worth doing for its own sake. And I mean, you have those Judeo-Christian roots in the character, not only in real life, but also in his own upbringing in the fictional world of Smallville and America. And I mean, that's where he stands for what is good about those things. And yeah, he's just an honest guy trying to do what is right. And then pile on top of that, he's the most powerful hero in his universe. He's also the first superhero. Um, and yeah, just so there's so much that I like about him. He's not just my favorite superhero; he's my favorite fictional character um, from all fiction. So yeah, it's hard to nail down.
I don't think it's hard. I mean, I think you nailed it down pretty good as far
Okay.
as like distilling it into something that you can express in 30 seconds or whatever. So I my whole thing about him, and then we can kind of get into the movie, is just that people talk about how he's unrelatable, he's too powerful, and I just disagree completely. I just look at that
Absolutely.
and say that is, then you're approaching him wrong. You need to look at, okay, so what is the core conflict that's going on with any character? And with Superman, the core conflict that's going on is, okay, I've got these powers. What do I use them for? What do I do with these powers? How do I approach the world? And how do I interact with the world? And those are questions that we should all be asking: is how do I take who I am, what I can do, what I like doing, and how do I interact with my world? And of course, for us as Christians, it's also, how do I interact with God to interact with my world, and how do I um, you know take a look at reaching the world for Jesus, and those kind of things. But it all comes down to, with Superman, he has power. He has all this power, and his that core question that he asks um in Superman the movie, where after his dad dies, and he's just like, all this power and I couldn't even save him,
Mhm.
you can see he's just asking, like, what do I do? How and what should I be doing? And am I doing stuff wrong, or whatever it might be? And then he turns around, and that's where you get him going to the Fortress of Solitude, and then leaving the Fortress of Solitude in the tights, and then going to Metropolis, and going into the world, and um, it just, to me, you don't have to say, you shouldn't say he's unrelatable, because you can make him relatable by just finding those things that are universal, or if not completely universal, that are common enough and general enough that we can latch onto. And then you add in freezing breath,
Yeah.
and and
Yes.
that's how you do it. And I'm not saying I'd be the perfect Superman writer, but I am saying that it frustrates me when I hear people just say he's not relatable.
Yeah. If you
And
find him unrelatable, you are basically Lex Luthor.
I won't go
So
that far.
just think about that.
If you are listening or watching right now, and you don't find him relatable, only half of us on the call right now believe you are Lex Luthor. Yeah.
All right.
All right. So, in general, this movie, Superman 2025, which distinguished from the other Superman movie, because the other Superman movie technically was called Superman the movie. And so we have Superman the movie. This is Superman. This isn't one of those situations like Predator, the Predator,
Yeah.
and Predator. Like, this is Superman the movie and Superman. Here we are.
Yes.
So, Superman 2025, Evan,
Hmm.
what was your theater experience? Because you've already gone twice.
Yes. Seen it twice. The first time I went with my dad, it was late. We were both tired. and I say late now. Late for me apparently is 7:30.
Yeah,
Um,
that's not late.
yeah, but
That's
I was tired, so it was just a kind of a muted, chill kind of viewing. And honestly, the first time I saw it, I left the theater feeling very unsure of how I felt about the movie and just kind of iffy on it. But then the second time I went with a bunch of friends, and just having already seen it and knowing what to expect, I really, really enjoyed it. So there wasn't, and I don't know if you have this anywhere at the AMC near you, or wherever you have in your local town, but now our theater they have fully leaned into having all of the custom popcorn buckets and merchandise
oh,
for, like, they have every version of it. And so the lobby is just filled with Superman merchandise. And so I bought a throw pillow.
from the theater.
Yes.
All right. All right, that's fair. It's fair.
They had throw pillows, they had throw blankets, they had the metal popcorn bucket tin. They had a popcorn bucket where it comes with, it's like a glass box where your popcorn goes in, but Superman is using his heat vision to break through the glass. It's really it's really neat.
Yeah, I was cleaning out after our flood in our basement, and I saw some of the metal popcorn tins that I got from, I think it was The Last Jedi, and I just thought that was a waste. I haven't used them for popcorn, and I don't know what I ever will use them for. So yeah, but I don't go to AMC anymore.
You don't
I
make
don't.
the trek.
I don't. I go to our local theater that I can walk to. Didn't even show Superman this weekend. But there's
What?
yeah, they still had Jurassic World,
Okay.
so I think they had to do that 2 weeks in a row or something like that. But there's a theater that's just 10 minutes closer than AMC, and it's a little bit cheaper, slightly cheaper, and the trailers are much shorter.
Nice.
It's only 15 minutes a trailer versus 25 to 30
Mhm.
at AMC. Um, yeah, so I've been heading to that theater, and it's been kind of nice. I'm
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and when I went, there's nothing in the lobby, and no one in the lobby. It's
Mm.
been You walk in, and it has a sign in the ticket booth that says, "Buy your tickets at the concession stand," because there's not a lot of people there when I've been going on the Thursday night for Jurassic World and for Superman. So, yeah, theaters weren't very full, again, Thursday night, but it was, um it's a nice theater, and man, I will say this about the theater experience that I had for Superman. y- The one reason to see it in the theater is the sound design.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was thumping my chest, man.
Yeah, they
More
cranked it.
so, when I went and saw Man of Steel, I went to a theater that had the D box or whatever it was that you sit in and it moves you
Oh,
and
really?
like vibrates you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was sitting in front of people who were in that thing, and it shook my seat as those things were shaking. It was really irritating. But this was actually the sound design where like my chest was like, "Whoa, I'm gonna have some sort of heart episode right now if I'm not careful because it's so loud at some points." So
Yeah, they were pumping it in our theater too.
that was very positive. I will throw a thumbs up to sound design. I will also, and this is again non-spoilerly, but the music cues, they leaned in heavy on John Williams.
Yeah.
Heavy
Mhm.
on John Williams, just the very nostalgic, as you're watching, everything's new except for the music. Like, it's just there it is, John Williams score again, again, again,
Well, but
and
they had some nice flourishes and some
they
extra
they
stuff in
modernized it.
there. Yeah.
They modernized it by I mean, the modernization of it was, adding in instruments like guitars and things like that. It really almost sounded like, if Hans Zimmer had just said, "Okay, I'm gonna use the John Williams score and keep the march, but also add in modern instrumentation."
Yeah, that is one thing from Man of Steel that did not disappoint, was the soundtrack.
Oh, yeah, I still listen to that.
Fantastic. Yeah.
I still listen to that when I'm writing sometimes.
Yeah. Now even like the Superman theme from that one is, in my estimation, almost up on par with the John Williams one now, just for being iconic to Superman.
There was one point toward the end of the movie where I felt like they might have been, actually it was after the climax, even it was in kind of the resolution point, where I thought they might have been referencing the Hans Zimmer Man of Steel theme. So I
Yeah,
don't know if they were, but
I
I saw
found myself humming that theme leaving the theater, even though it was not present in the movie.
yeah, I think it was present. I think we can
Okay.
talk about the moment. I don't want the moment itself has a little bit of a spoiler connotation to it, but it was, I felt like there was that music cue was there anyway. So
Okay.
yeah. Um, okay, so again, trying to think non-spoilery, but what would people want to know before seeing this movie to decide if they wanted to see this movie? Let's talk about characterization. Did you feel like what's Corn Swat? How do you
Yeah.
say that guy's
I
name?
can't
I don't
remember
know.
his name. Yeah. The
How'd he do?
actor,
Yeah, the actor that played Clark Kent, Superman Kal-El. Um, what'd you think of him?
Ben,
Yes.
he's my new favorite Superman actor.
Wow.
Like, yeah, I'm surprised and it's not just the bias towards what's the newest. I think he captured the character better than any other live action Superman actor that I have seen so far.
Wow. I cannot go that far, but I will say he portrayed the character from this movie in a great way. Like
Well,
he
let me put a caveat on that, because
okay,
he portrayed the character that is my favorite version of the character.
okay.
Christopher Reeve did a great job with the character of the time, where he's more of the father figure, um, authority figure Superman. Um, Whereas in the 1980s, they kind of rebooted him to be more of a, we're on his level sort of guy. And this has been the best portrayal of that kind of Superman, in my opinion.
He is definitely more of an everyman as
Yeah.
far as personality and emotional reaction
Yeah.
goes. There's more of an everyman to him than Christopher Reeve. Yeah, I would go that far. Um, and that's where I say he fits the movie. Like that's the story they're telling, and he fits it perfectly. Um, there's still some Boy Scout there,
Oh, absolutely.
in the in his language where he's. I think at one point he actually said "golly."
Yes, that is
Um,
the first thing he says after he is, back to on his feet.
yeah.
He says, "Golly."
So yeah,
It's
I
great.
mean, is he relatable in that way? Maybe to some of us, but yeah, yeah. And I will also say the other thing that Christopher Reeve really didn't have much of, and they tried to bring more into it, especially with Superman 4, really. He doesn't really second guess himself. Like when
Right.
he chooses a course of action, it's the right course of action because it's Superman who's doing it when Christopher Reeve does it.
Yeah.
When David is it David Cornswat?
Yeah, I
That's
think
what.
so. Mhm.
Um, when he does things, there is some second guessing, and he is still trying to explore what does it mean to do what I do, and he doesn't have it all figured out, and I appreciated that about the character here. So yeah, what do you think about Lex?
So I think so. Lex Luthor has so many different characterizations, but
Hmm.
if you are a fan of the Lex Luthor from All Star Superman, they nailed it. And in fact, I think they said that was their main inspiration for their take on Lex Luthor, and they nailed it. And the actor who portrayed him nailed that version of Lex Luthor. I think it's much better than Jesse Eisenberg's, which was a good performance, but not like any Lex Luthor we've seen before. And so I think my favorite two Lex Luthors now are this guy and Kevin Spacey. I really enjoyed his portrayal of Lex Luthor as well, but they're very different, the two of them.
Yeah. I I'm starting to have a love-hate relationship with Lex Luthor. Um,
Okay.
and here's part of it. Part of it is Gene Hackman. Um, I've realized, and this is not a new realization, but I've been reminded of it. Whenever Lex Luthor shows up in the Reeve movies,
Hmm.
um, the movie just starts getting dumb. Like it's just he's just a goofball. He's eating the scenery,
Yeah.
and it works in a lot of ways, and he's bad. Like he's just a bad person.
Yeah.
He's not and his goals are like, real estate. and Superman the movie is all about a real estate scheme basically. It's like,
So
okay,
Superman Returns.
well, so Superman Returns, and
Yeah.
honestly, in some ways, maybe even this movie on a grander scale, though. But whenever I mean, as soon as you make the switch from the Fortress of Solitude to Metropolis in Superman the movie, it starts in with the don't, and
Yeah.
it's Otis,
Yeah.
and it's just goofy, and so then you have Kevin Spacey, who kind of followed up on that. Really, I mean, he was also playing over the top with
Yeah.
Superman
He
Returns.
was doing Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I liked Nicholas Hoult. He's not my favorite. I don't know who's my favorite though when I'm trying to think through. I mean, Superman the animated series maybe.
Yeah.
That's a great
Clancy
Lex
Brown.
Luthor there.
Yeah.
And then Michael Ro-
Rosenbaum.
Smallville's
Yep.
Lex Luthor is also a pretty good Lex Luthor.
Yes.
Um, and they're more relatable as Lex Luthor, with especially the animated series where he's a businessman,
Yeah.
and he's got goals that are, relatable and evil. But and this one, at first it was a little hard to like figure out, well, what is driving him, until he actually has a speech where he literally says, "This is what drives me." And
Yes.
you
Yes.
think it's this, but it's this instead.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, no, we kind of figured out it was that instead. No, we
Well,
it's
yeah,
there. It's
but
there.
again, I think that again, it is literally almost a one-to-one of All-Star Superman's Lex Luthor, who he is driven by his hatred for Superman and his envy for Superman. Um, and it clouds everything else about him.
And
Yeah.
and I'll say this again, he may not be my favorite Lex Luthor, but he fits the movie,
Yeah.
and the movie fits him. Like this is a movie that was crafted with these characters. I'm not sure how much it was crafted around these characters or how much they discovered the characters as they were crafting the movie, but from development to final edit, those things for the most part, they work, they fit, and his plan is suitably broad and suitably evil, but also kind of cool, and
Yeah.
you do wonder, and this is something you want from a movie that has superhero conflict. Who's going to win? Superman's going to win, but how? And how is he going to get out of this one? That kind of thing.
Hmm.
And there were moments where the question was, how is he going to get out of this one? And you're also asking that because as he's trying to figure out how to get out of it, he's also trying to think through what's the best way to do this for everyone involved. And there's a kindness to Superman in this movie that extends to the people he doesn't like and extends to the people he doesn't get along with. And it's very interesting. I again don't want to get into spoilers, but the character is trying to figure out, okay, I'm in a world where I can crush people like an ant. So how do I take care of conflict here? And it very much feels like a response to Man of Steel, where the body toll in Man of Steel must have been up in the thousands, and you definitely get a sense of, okay, they remember that, and they're going to make sure they write it out so that
Well,
they
and
don't.
honestly, I just think it's just how Superman should be written.
Yes,
This is
yeah,
just how he should be written. Uh, there's no need to justify it. This is just the character.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to think what else we can talk about non-spoilery. You got any thoughts?
Um, just I mean the characterizations, I think they nailed most of them. There's a huge cast in this.
Yeah.
It's gigantic.
And I think that's a weakness in some ways
Yeah,
because
in
there's
some ways, but
so many different focuses. There's a lot of
yes.
different focuses.
In some ways it is, in some ways it isn't, and we can talk about that later, but the cinematography very unique, especially with the flying.
Mhm.
I think it felt like there was only one straightforward cinematographical scene, and it's just a conversation between Superman and Lois in their apartment. And everything else kind of had a unique angle on it. It felt like, but yeah, especially the flying and action scenes. I don't know if there's you've seen something like it in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, where I guess they invented some new camera techniques just for that movie, and they have brought it with them, and they have blown it up to scale. So
I think I would say that one of the strengths and weaknesses of this movie is what they brought over from. It's not that they brought it over from Guardians of the Galaxy. It is that they brought, I mean, James Gunn into this. Like it's
yeah,
James Gunn's fingerprints are all over this. And in sometimes you're like, great, this is, I can see James Gunn all over this and it's good. And other times it's, I can see James Gunn all over this and it's a little, I don't know, just some of the jokes that were made and
the
at the
amount of language that was
characters.
used.
Yeah, but never Superman.
Yeah,
So
yes.
that was a juxtaposition, and I was nervous. I was a little worried that, James Gunn is so much about being what's the word I'm looking for? Um
Quirky.
Well, quirky and edgy,
Yeah,
as far as, like, just riding that edge between, I feel like we're almost to a place where these people aren't heroes anymore, and
yeah.
then he crosses that line, but then still expects you to say, "Hey, they're still heroes." But he actually, when he was doing that, it was, again, a juxtaposition of, this is how some would do it, but this is how Superman will do it,
Yeah.
so James Gunn was both the strength and the weakness of this movie in a lot of ways to me. Uh, it just, yeah, some of the humor just was like, oh, it's at the expense of, certain characters. And I would say though, I never felt that way about Superman.
No, they
I
nailed him. They
yeah,
nailed him from head to toe, start to
I,
finish.
I never felt like they were making fun of him in the way actually that sometimes they did do with Captain America, where in the first Captain America they didn't make fun of him too much because it was World War II and he's of the time. And in the first Avengers movie, there's some jibes at him, but it's not like they're really making fun of him. But later on, they are kind of making fun of him, and it's more of a meta kind of a thing where the movie is making fun of him, if not the characters in the movie. And
Well, there is one moment where he gets ribbed for his aw shucksness, but it's a defining part of the movie that would require spoilers. So
yeah, yeah. So okay, let's rate this movie out of 5 super robots. How many super robots do you give this movie?
after seeing it twice, I now give it a 4.5 super robot rating.
Okay. All right. And I would give it a 4 super robot rating. I
Okay.
think a solid 4. Um, there were problems, but I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. I would also say this, in some ways, watching this movie was like reading a comic book series. This was not like you
Yeah.
were reading a comic book issue. This was like you were reading a run of comic books, maybe 5 or 6 issues of a comic that was just that one through line. It felt episodic in some ways, and you could almost watch and see, like, this is the part where they take on this villain and it leads to a little bit of mystery. This is the part where the villain does this scheme and they take care of it within those 10 minutes, and it's kind of going along and it feels like reading an arc of comics, but there is a start and stop in that arc of each issue there. And in some ways that's kind of cool. In other ways it didn't flow perfectly, because of the way it was kind of like, here's this set piece, here's this
Yeah.
set piece, here's this set piece. um, but then again, in doing that, you kind of have this focus on this, focus on this, focus on this, and and it allowed the movie to do a lot of different things with a lot of different characters. And so,
Well, and I think that's why I said after the second viewing, because after the first viewing, I would have probably gave it a 3.5,
oh wow,
just because I think it defied a lot of my expectations, and also the pacing was not what I expected at all, like what you were saying.
yeah,
But then knowing to expect those things the second time, I was all in. It was great. And then the only thing that keeps me from giving it 5 stars is the amount and severity of language that is in it, which will prevent me from taking my kids to see this anytime soon.
hmm.
Which is just sad for a Superman movie.
I did take my kid to see this. He's 24, but I did.
Yes, well, if I had adult children, I would take them to see it. I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old. So.
All right. I think this is the point in the episode where we play the spoiler organ, and we are using StreamYard instead of Riverside, so I don't have that set up to just throw it in there. But if we do decide to change over to StreamYard, maybe
It
that'll be
has
the
some cool
case.
features. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of those features is both of our sounds seem to be working.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest thing with Riverside. So I am playing the spoiler organ now.
Spoilers. Spoilers. Spoilers.
You've been warned at this point in the episode. If you have not seen the movie, you don't care that you're going to be spoiled, or you haven't decided if you should see the movie or not. And so here we are. We are going to talk about just the nitty gritty. Let's talk about what it is about this movie that worked, that didn't work, but in specific. And so, Evan, I turn things over to you. Where do you want to start?
Man, we can go. Let's start by characters, and then we can talk from there. And all right, so we already said they nailed it. They nailed Superman. I think, especially even just his vocal timbre is better than all the other live action Supermans that have come before. I think he's got the right amount of deepness that Christopher Reeve and Brandon Routh and even Henry Cavill at some points lacked. So I really like that. His stature, his yeah, we have interns at my work right now, and some of them, a guy was asking a girl, I overheard this. He was like, are you excited to go see Superman? And she's like, yeah, he's 6'4". That was the main reason that she wanted to go see it. So, yeah,
Well,
nailed that. And again, his dialogue and characterization, he's protecting squirrels from being squished. I mean, it's perfect, honestly.
Yeah, that's something I appreciated about this Superman. I mean, we talk about kindness, but this is someone who is, in the very broadest extent of the term, pro-life, as far as he's there to help people. And when he saw people who were going to be killed, he wanted to stop it. And so that's what starts this whole movie.
Yeah.
Off screen, ahead of the movie, he goes and he stops a war. And that's a big problem for a lot of people politically,
Yeah.
Did he have the right to do that? But his whole thing is people were going to die. I had to do this because people were going to die. But people were going to die. He saves the squirrel. With the kaiju, I loved this with the kaiju, where he's trying to rescue the people around it, but also trying to figure out, how do I get this thing out of here so it doesn't hurt people and we don't hurt it. And he actually says to Green Lantern, I was trying to figure out a way to get it away so we can get it into an intergalactic zoo, or at the very least find a more humane way to euthanize it. And trying to, I mean, in that way, he's like, he's your dog catcher kind of a thing, where it's like, okay, we might have catch these dogs and get them off the street, and we might have to euthanize them, but we want to be as humane as possible with these animals, and find a home for them. Like that's, but that wasn't what they were thinking at all. Mr. Terrific puts the things down the gullet and blows up his insides.
Yeah.
And
he's kind of, and when he first shows up, he's like, what's going on? He's like, I'm trying to find a way to get it out of here without killing it. And he's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And it's
Yep.
like, kill the thing. So,
Yep.
and then the GBS news headline after they beat it is Justice Gang kills thing.
Mm-hmm. But then what's interesting about that is they engineer uses a similar tactic from what Mr. Terrific used on the creature on Superman with her nanobots or whatever,
Yes.
and
And
puts him down
Ben,
his gullet. And
since you're the host of this, I have uploaded some pictures for our audience, but you're the one who has to click them and turn
okay,
them on. So
so you want to go by character by character? Let's see
yep,
if we
they're
can.
there if you want them.
All
So there
right,
it is.
there's Superman,
Yes.
and I, I mean, he works, man. He works. I believe that he believes in what he's doing,
Yeah.
and they found an interesting conflict for him, an interior conflict for him, where he is trying to decide, what purpose am I here for? I thought I was here to do good, and then I find out my parents think I'm supposed to conquer this world.
Oh, and by the way, this is my favorite thing about this movie that has not been done in a movie of Superman, where his heritage is not more important to him than his Earth life. He is Clark Kent first and Superman second. And that is my Superman.
Okay, so tell me how much you loved, because I know you loved this. Okay, at the beginning, it calms him down. He likes to hear his parents, and it's the message from his parents, and they're saying, do what's good. You're here to do the most good. And then he finds out that the message continues and says, and conquer them or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and then at the end, I'm like, oh, this is getting awkward because robot number 4 says, or Gary,
Yes.
says, uh, let's let him see his parents. That'll help him. It calms him down. And I'm like, oh, that's awkward. And then it was all these home movies from him with Jonathan and Martha.
Yes.
And
And that's the best. The message of this movie is fantastic. And the again, that characterization of Superman where yeah, I'm from Krypton. That doesn't really matter to me. I'm an earthling. I'm as human as anybody else, and I'm here to do what's right.
yeah, yeah.
And that's Superman.
The Superman movie does not make us laugh at the movie itself, does not ask us to laugh at these characters except for his mom. I felt
Yeah.
so bad for her when she's on the phone, and it's just like, oh, come on.
No, yeah,
She's got to be beyond this by now. Come on.
that is one of the few things where I'm like, oh, they didn't get the characterization right.
No,
And so that is the one thing in I keep saying it's the one thing. It's one of the things in Man of Steel. I thought they did really great was the casting for Jonathan and Martha.
Mm-hmm.
Their lines were garbage, but the acting and the characterization of them were great. And if they had just been in this movie saying the lines from this movie, it would have been perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And okay, Jonathan's still alive. To me, it's always been one of the things where he died in Superman the movie. I saw it in Superman the movie when I was 3 or 4 years old. It's like, okay, that's a Superman thing. That's a whatever, a canon event or whatever. But
That only happened in
I've
that movie.
I've seen it in comics where there's just some really great conversations between Superman and Jonathan and Superman and Martha, and in even Lois and Clark with Dean Cain. He had some great moments with his parents in that
Yeah,
show.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like that,
And
his dad dying is not a canon event. That's an aberration.
it is in my head though.
Norm. Yeah, I
It
know.
is in my head.
Yeah,
Well, and also some of the early, like when I was a kid, the Superman comics I had also Jonathan Kent was dead in those because it's pre crisis.
gotcha.
So yeah, but anyway, he has a great conversation with his dad here about parenting and about being a kid. Parents are here to give you the tools so you can screw things up as bad as
Yeah,
we did.
yeah.
You know, it's a great moment, and it's a nice moment for parents and for children to say, okay, yeah, I mean, I can't make my kids be who they're going to be. All I can do is give them the tools. And then as a child, you can't say I have to be who my parents are going to make me be. It's they've given me the tools. What do I do with this? He got his toolbox from Jonathan and Martha. he got his powers and his physicality, and maybe even some of his temperament from uh,
Jarell
Jor-El
Ara.
and yeah, Lara. But like this, there's just a really nice thing here. In some ways, this movie's the emotional crisis gets resolved in a statement about family and adoption. Really, um, if you're taking those steps of, especially about the illegal immigrants and that kind of thing with him, it dives right into the adoption side of things, where his parents were like, "We're going to give you the tools to grow up and be the man that you are." And then Jonathan's crying, "I'm proud of you," and I'm just like, I'm starting to get teared up, like,
Yeah,
'cause I'm
yeah.
sitting next to my son,
That was absolutely perfect. Um, Again, even though not 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 my choice for casting, but the performance
Yeah.
and the lines were perfect. And that is what needs to happen. Anytime Superman has an emotional crisis, he either goes to Lois, his mom, or his dad, and that's what's going to reset him to get him back out there. Occasionally Batman, but
Well, because that's the friend,
yeah,
I mean, you
yeah,
have, in a lot of ways, this Superman is a well-rounded. I mean, not in this movie with Batman with his friendships or whatever, but
sure.
Superman is well-rounded as far as like that core family, that strong relationship where you have them trying to figure things out and work out together. That's, I mean, Superman and Lois for me, like, that is core. That is canon. Like
Absolutely.
there's no way around it. Um, I had an advertisement. I think it was for Action Comics number 500. I remember seeing it in a comic book, and it's Superman kissing Wonder Woman. I'm like,
Yeah.
that is what? Like,
I just recently read that one.
I never have read it, but I will never forget the confusion and almost anger I felt as an eighth grader looking at that in my comic book. It was a Star Trek comic book that I had, and I'm just like, what? This is not right. So anyway, and then you have his superhero friendships with Batman and all those other guys, where they are bringing out the best in each other, or they're supposed to be bringing out the best in each other. That's what
Yes.
friendship is supposed to do. So yeah. We need to move on. We don't have all day here,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
let's look at next. We have Lois. This is
Yes.
a good Lois.
Oh, yeah.
She was a good Lois.
Again, this might be my new favorite Lois. I was talking to Shantae about this, my wife. I think it might be it's a three-way neck and neck race between her, Erica Durance from Smallville, and Terry Hatcher from Lois and Clark.
Yeah, I think Terry Hatcher is probably for me the best Lois. Margot Kidder is just stuck in my head as Lois, um, but I don't like her. And you know why I realized it was as a kid?
Why?
Because she smoked all the time.
Mm.
She was a
She,
smoker, and I didn't like that.
she never embodied Lois for me ever.
Well, she did for me because she was the only one.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Terry Hatcher, I feel like Terry Hatcher brings the attitude, and but also like
She's
she brings
goofy.
the attitude that she doesn't quite have the the currency to back up the checks that she's writing,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's a good way to put it.
yeah.
Yeah. She's kind of winging it.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although just watching Superman 2, especially the portion in Paris, that's Lois Lane at its core, I think, where
Oh
she's
yeah, where she's stuck on the elevator.
yeah, yeah, but
Yeah.
she's sneaking into the Eiffel Tower
Yeah.
when they have the nuclear bomb,
Yeah.
and then you even see that in the animated the Fleischer animated shorts,
Yeah.
where she's just this dogged, curious reporter who's going to do what it takes to get the story, uh, and it means the Superman's going to have to get her out of it.
Well,
So
I mean, Superman and Lois in this, they've been dating 3 months and they are very affectionate toward each other. But then as they're making out, they're talking, and then as soon as Superman says, "You could interview me," she's way more interested in that.
yeah, yep, yep.
She's like, "Let's stop kissing now so I can interview you as a reporter."
Uh,
Yeah.
and a nice little callback to Superman the movie with their interview, but this interview, man,
This was great.
it is great exposition.
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna have to do exposition where people are just talking about what goes on, you have to do it in a way that is driven by character and that's interesting and there's conflict. This had all of it. It had it all there. So
Yeah, fantastic. And I like how she goes and tries to get the Justice Gang to help out, and yeah, just I think they just absolutely nailed her as well. And the theme of the movie comes through her lines where and it's what I was talking about earlier, where the only person who kind of makes fun of him is her.
mhm.
And it's where Superman claims like I'm punk rock. This is like, you are not punk rock. You love everybody. And he's like, well, maybe that's the real punk rock, which is
That is that's a
that's the
great.
highest compliment that James Gunn can give anyone, is that you are punk rock, but the real punk rock is just being a good person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's anti-establishment.
Yeah.
That's anti-establishment. Yeah, yeah.
And that,
That
yeah.
I hadn't thought about that as like the thematic statement for the movie, but it really is. It's a, yeah.
The
That
the
conversation is
ending song for the movie is I'm a punk rocker, yes I am.
a
That is the theme that the movie ends on.
yeah. Yeah, which is kind of yeah, there's a little bit of dissonance as the end credits are mirroring the credits from Superman and Superman 2 where you had John Williams theme and the words are all coming in and the font is the same and some of the color scheme and it's just like but it's a punk rock song. It's
Yeah.
it's not how I expected the Superman movie to end, but okay. All right. That scene, by the way, was great. I know people were complaining about the image of Superman putting on his boots
Yeah.
just kind of nonchalantly, and there's a monster in the background out the window. But the scene that didn't actually happen in that scene, but where they're just talking in the apartment, and there's the fight going on behind them that's kind of giving them this beautiful lighting, and they're having this really serious conversation, and it's great. That was some really strong and powerful cinematography that was
And it's just a great scene because Lois is like, "Are you helping them out?" And Superman doesn't even know what she's talking about.
oh no it's
Yeah,
just a dimensional creature.
he
It's okay.
didn't even notice it.
and and Guy Gardner keeps bringing out a baseball bat. It's like hitting
Yeah,
it with a baseball bat. So
yeah, that was
yeah.
great.
Okay, next you have the engineer.
Yes, so unfamiliar with this character, and
Me too.
she's from the Authority, which I extremely dislike, and I'm disappointed that they are wasting their money on making a movie about them. Um, but she was cool. I mean, she worked well for this movie. That was one of the things where my expectations weren't met, because in all the previews and stuff, they're showing her, they're showing Ultraman, and I'm thinking, okay, well, with such like B or C level villains, there's got to be a secret villain that's going to come out somewhere in the movie, which did not
Well,
happen.
yeah, it did.
Meh.
I mean, you had two A-lister villains in this with Lex and Ultraman, who Ultraman ended up being.
Yeah, but it wasn't any meaningful being of. It was a clone of Superman, but it's just a generic clone of Superman. It wasn't Bizarro, wasn't Superboy. Uh, so meh.
It I think that they're setting up the possibility to bring him back as Bizarro.
Yes,
But
I do too, but I don't like Bizarro, so
um,
so not thrilled.
I there have been some Bizarro comics where I'm like, okay, that works for me. I actually like what they do here. Um, he never works for me in Super Friends and just the whole everything's reversed.
Yeah,
They never are able to take it to just because we can't do it. Like we can't move a narrative forward and have a character who's always doing everything in reverse and be consistent. It just consistency is almost impossible with that
you know what's
character.
the coolest thing I've ever seen somebody do with Bizarro?
No.
A Disney animator who loves Superman made his own Superman fan film. And for Bizarro, he had the voice actor, instead of saying like, me not, instead of
Yeah, yeah.
speaking in contradictions, he just had him say all his lines phonetically backwards. And
Yeah.
so then they replayed it forward. So it sounds like you're listening to someone speak backwards, but it's actually saying the words and you can understand them. I thought it was neat.
She had some interesting power set, and between her and Ultraman, which we'll talk about, I don't see.
No, I don't have a picture of him.
Okay, we'll need to talk. We'll talk about him now then too.
Okay.
Between the two of them, they make for a good foil for Superman. Ultraman's able to match him power to power. I will say, like, her nano saw blade things, like, that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
And then using the nanites to go into his mouth to push all the oxygen out of his body. Like, that was a cool idea for how to take down Superman without using magic. Like,
Yeah.
there's some certain things he has to have to survive. One of them is he does have to eat, he does have to breathe, and, like, I don't know, maybe it would take a year for him to die of starvation. I don't know, but they're like, they've calculated how long it will take for him to suffocate if they push all the air out of his lungs. And of course, it doesn't work because
Right. Yeah.
it's not going to.
No, but she was a cool character for a character that is not really a Superman villain. She was a good addition. She's a good henchman with cool powers.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Ultraman, because Ultraman, isn't he a Legion of Superheroes character?
No, Ultraman is the
Ultra
alternate.
Boy.
That's the alternate universe version of Superman from Earth 3 from the crime syndicate.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's right.
So he could end up being Bizarro, or
he could end up being
sent to Earth 3 through that black hole.
Yeah.
And become Ultraman there. Those are two things, though. I don't want either one of those to happen. I don't want any more multiverse. No more. Shut it down. No more ever.
They came so close to making it feel like that, but it's a pocket universe. I can live with that.
Yes.
And if this pocket universe somehow creates a vortex to Apocalypse, okay,
sure,
that's fine as far as multiverse goes. But you're right. I don't want to see. I mean, I liked Marvel's What If series, but just the multiverse in the MCU is just,
it's ruining it.
Once they introduced it, I'm like, shoot,
yeah,
dang it. Now, did it get us some great moments with Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland? Sure, yeah, it did. Okay, they did some good things with it, but once you introduce a multiverse or time travel, it changes the dynamics of the entire universe.
Yep.
And it's one thing if that's what you start out doing and saying this is a multiverse story we're telling, but it just took things way too fantastical for me. Again, I like some of the stuff they did with it, but
you lose focus. And now nothing really matters, and you can just bring people from other universes, and we can save money because we don't have to cast more than one person because this is playing both versions of the character. Yeah. I hate it. I don't want it, and I don't want Bizarro, so he can just stay gone.
All right. I do remember Bizarro in the Superboy series back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed seeing him then, and I want to go back and watch some of those Superboy episodes and see, like, do they hold up? Because I remember liking that when I was in high school, middle school. So, all right, Lex, we've talked about, but his plan. And he's literally saying, you thought that I was trying to kill you so I could take over the country, but really I was trying to take over the country to give me an excuse to kill you. And it's like, oh, okay, all right. The motivation is there. And then his whole thing about, Superman shows up and nobody cares about anything else. And they talk about me in the same breath as Einstein, and it makes me want to puke a little bit. And like, this is a prideful man. And that's one of the great things they did in this movie, was juxtaposing the humility of Superman and the pride of Lex Luthor.
Oh yeah. And I love the moment where, Superman's trying to call him out and is like, you're just motivated by envy, Lex. And he's like, yeah, duh. Of course I am. It's like,
is anybody surprised by this?
Yeah.
Because I guess you haven't met me yet. Okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll forgive it. Yeah. but it's hard to do a villain right. That's the thing. It's hard to do a
Mhm.
villain right. And so with this version, I did that moment at the very end. There's two things that happened that were really striking to me. One of those things that was very striking to me was Superman extending the hand of kindness to Lex and actually saying, "Listen, Lex, it's not too late for you.
Yeah.
It's not too late. It's, you know, I put on my boots just like everyone else does, just like you do, and all we can do is say, what can I do today to make the world a better place? You can do that. And the other thing that happened that was just a key moment character-wise for Lex is when he realizes everything has failed. He has failed. It's all fallen down. There's no way out. And he's got tears,
Yeah.
and it's like, and it's is it tears of rage? Is he mourning that his plan has lost? Is it he's just so angry he can't do anything else? And he's just at a complete loss. There is nothing he can do. He's planned for everything and it all fell apart.
Yeah, down to the fight moves of Ultraman that he has,
Yeah. Yeah.
coded.
Which uh,
I kind of liked it at the end because at the end it's basically him punching Superman in the
it's
face.
it's true. And he's
Yeah.
calling all these things ahead of time and they're controlling him. Like
Yeah.
he's a massive room of people controlling what Bizarro Superman or whatever you want to call Ultraman. Um, he's got a room of people doing this. It reminded me of Guardians of the Galaxy, where they had all those drones
Yeah. Mhm.
pilots, and um, but anyway, it works, and it is. You're right. He's calling out like every single shot. He is calling out, and it's him doing this. It would have been maybe slightly more believable or more interesting if the clone hadn't actually been a sentient being.
He
Although I'm not
wasn't
sure how
really
sentient
though.
it was because
Yeah.
it didn't say anything. It didn't. And Corn Sweat, or however you say his name, I feel like he did a great job playing
Yes.
Ultraman. Like just that empty look on his face. There was just something to his face where it's just like it's almost an uncanny valley kind of thing. I don't know how much maybe they altered it digitally a little bit. I don't know, but he just looked so empty.
Yeah. My
And
my favorite Ultraman moment from the film is when Lex Luthor brought him to the Pentagon for the sole purpose of turning on the lights after his presentation.
yeah,
That was fantastic. Yeah, and again, this Lex is really a just straight out of All-Star Superman. In that movie, he's always doing these like strange inventions where like he built a thing that recites Moby Dick, but little does the prison guards know that it recites it so fast that it can bore through solid rock. The sound waves, so it's like weird random stuff like that, and they brought that out full force when he's got that room of
the
monkeys. Yeah,
monkeys.
just typing bad things about Superman. It's I mean, it's again, it is Lex Luthor, but only from Grant Morrison. It's
Well,
not necessarily Lex Luthor from other comics.
but thinking broadly, and this goes back to my saying, this is like reading an arc of comics. It's like reading issues of a comic book. Um, there's just that comic book ridiculousness to it,
Yeah.
almost that Saturday morning cartoon ridiculousness of, yeah, I've got these monkeys that are doing all the hashtags, and it's like, you know, people say, Russia, the Russian
Hoax or whatever.
Russian
Yeah.
interference with the elections, like this is that kind of times 11 where it's monkeys instead. And I really did when you saw the monkeys and they're all there, I'm like, is this the whole like put monkeys, a billion monkeys in front of a typewriter for eternity, one of them is going to type Shakespeare,
Yeah. Yeah.
and is that what he's trying to do? Is that what he's going for, is to get one of these? Nope. social media social media.
Well, yeah, and in this movie, he has kind of like this ferryman who is, the creepy white
Yeah.
creature that is, and that's straight out of All-Star Superman 2, except in All-Star Superman, it's his niece who is interning with him because she also wants to rule the world. I'm kind of disappointed they didn't do that, but it's the same function.
Well, that creature was cool.
Yeah.
And like, is that a created creature? Is that a creature they found in the Pocket universe? Like, what is it?
I believe in the extra, extra film things that he did create it.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
anyway,
I like it where it's this mystery and it's just this odd thing, but it makes sense and works in the world. Like that's good world building, is when you're able to have something that doesn't have an explanation but makes sense.
yeah.
That so all right. Jimmy Olsen. Jimmy Olsen. This is a good Jimmy. Is this your
Yes,
favorite
it is.
Jimmy now?
Okay, so I really like this Jimmy. I think the most Jimmy of all the Jimmys has been the Jimmy from Superman Returns. I think he was just the most quintessential Jimmy. But this is a great Jimmy. He might be my second favorite. And it's the Jimmy from the most recent comics where he inexplicably is irresistible to women. I love it because he's the most average of average men and also slightly nerdy, but like all the women in this movie, they're just looking at him and they love him.
Yeah.
It's great.
It is funny. It is funny.
Yeah.
This is not my favorite Jimmy by any stretch.
Sure.
Although I might have a hard time finding a favorite Jimmy. And Mark McClure, I mean, he even made it Supergirl, the movie, like
And Justice League.
did he?
Yes, he did.
Mark McClure was in Justice League?
Yes, he was.
Who was he?
He was the cop at the Centennial Park who brought Lois Lane to Superman.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. No, but yeah, this Jimmy, I think it's my second favorite, but the one from Superman Returns, if you go back and watch that, I think he just nailed the quintessential Jimmy Olsen.
Jimmy just needs to be, a little bit nerdy, a little bit goofy, but he's the everyman, and in some way the audience insertion character.
Yes.
When you're talking about young boys, like, of course, by the time you get to Superman 4, he's not young. He's been at it for a long time.
Yeah.
But
no, but they gave him a lot to do in this
yes,
movie,
they did.
and I thought that was great.
Well, they actually, I mean, Lois and Jimmy and even Perry meant something in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, they did stuff in this movie that affected the outcome of the movie. And of course, for Jimmy, it was this. It was Miss Tessmacher.
Miss Tessmacher.
So, and the whole thing, like, where she's like, I'm mad because he doesn't want me anymore, and I have everything for you. And it's all these selfies. She's been taking selfies the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out she's also been selectively taking selfies that will expose what Lex Luthor is up to. And so, is she dumb? Yeah, she is. But is she smart? Yeah, she is. And she is able to, again, she actually affects the outcome of the movie.
Well, that's kind of the way Miss Tessmacher's always been. You look at her and you think, oh, there's a bimbo or whatever, but she's actually got it all together.
Yeah, I mean, the moment in Superman the movie with Miss Tessmacher where she's like, "Will you save my mother first?" and she jumps in to save Superman. I remember as a kid thinking, "But she's a bad guy. Why is she helping him?" And it affected me back then, because it was confusing to me. But then Superman keeps his word even to a bad guy, and but here you have, she just wants someone who's going to appreciate her.
Yeah.
She just wants someone who's, and for her, it was Lex. He did seem to appreciate her until he threw pencils at her. And and is it ridiculous? Yes, it is. That's the thing. Like, but it works,
Well, I
and
love that she's just so into Jimmy, and he's just like does not want anything to do with
well, and her name in his phone is Mutant Toes.
Yeah.
Of course, they never show her feet, which is probably a good thing, because
Well, it's so fun. It's so funny because he wants nothing to do with her. Like he knows that she can probably tell them where Superman's being held, but he still doesn't want to text her because he knows what it'll mean. It'll mean that she's back in his life. And then toward the end of the movie, Lois makes an offhand comment, like, "Your hot girlfriend is great," and he's like, hot. Like he's never understood that before. And then, but when she comes back to hug him at the very end, he's like, he kind of likes it now. So
I don't know. I didn't see that in
I don't know
his,
what is going on
but
with that.
I the Jimmy Eve dynamic was one of the parts of the movie where it's just like, all
No, it
right.
was
It
great.
moves things forward. It did, but come on. We're putting on clown cheese a little bit. Okay, let's move to one of my favorite parts of this movie, though.
Metamorpho.
Man, Metamorpho's arc in this was I loved it.
It was okay.
I loved it. I mean, when he realizes what he's doing, he thinks he's doing the right thing to protect his child, but then it's actually like people are going to die. People are going to, and then people do die because he didn't do anything. He stayed kryptonite. This is a great moment where I thought they were just using the character as just to have that kryptonite thing. We got rid of kryptonite. Kryptonite doesn't exist on this world anymore. Well, I've got an option for that. And this is the option. And I'm thinking, okay, that's great. But at the same time, then it turns into this emotional character arc um, in the cell. Now, granted, in the battle where they're in the river and they're trying to not go in the black hole, not the greatest. Um, but when he's actually realizing, oh man, that man just died, and that man would not have died if I was not kryptonite right now. And
Yeah.
and it actually was a moment like Miss Tessmacher where he's like, "You said you'll save my baby. You'll
Yeah.
save my baby if I do this."
To me, they got his characterization wrong. Rex is usually
Oh,
a more of a tough guy.
this is not comic book Rex at
No,
all.
yeah,
At all. No, no, not at all. But
but he very much is like a James Gunn style misfit character,
yes.
like Polka Dot Man from Suicide Squad. And he loves these weird affected characters like this. So I mean, I love Metamorpho. Hopefully they'll get his characterization a little more on point next time he shows up. But I think I'm glad to see him on screen.
Well, and they're putting him in the Justice Gang
Yeah,
because he likes the name Justice Gang.
that's right.
All right. Crypto was great until he wasn't. There was so much crypto in this
There was
movie.
so much crypto.
Too much crypto in this movie. Uh, and yeah, there's just so much crypto in this movie.
I did like the twist that he's Supergirl's dog and not Superman's dog. I like that a lot.
Well, he earlier on said it's more of a foster situation. And
Yes. Yeah.
uh,
And so I like that a lot. And here's hoping he won't be in as much of the next Superman movie. But yeah, I mean, he worked, he did things. I thought it was funny that he trashed the Fortress of Solitude. Um, so I used to be on the Aspiring Kryptonians podcast, and my co-host there, Tasman, loves the Super Pets, loves them. I know that she was thrilled to have crypto in here, but my dad pointed something out, and I'm like, yeah, I've been saying this for years. If crypto and the other super pets existed on the Earth, they would destroy the planet.
yeah,
They
I
would
mean
they would
the whole
kill
thing
everyone and destroy the planet.
where he says, "I just didn't want crypto killing my parents' cows."
Yeah,
Well,
it's like that would
yeah,
happen.
yeah, because that's what dogs do. Like
Yeah,
they are beasts. They are literally just animals that have animal instincts. And the thing that's always bothered me about the Kryptonian animals in particular is that means that on Krypton you have humans, basically, horses, eagles,
monkeys.
dogs, like all of these earth creatures exist on Krypton as well, almost exactly the same, except for the powers.
Yeah,
It just was it Beppo the super monkey?
Beppo the super monkey and
Yeah, yeah.
Comet
I
the
mean,
super horse.
they have chimpanzees on Krypton. This is a whole other planet, light years away, and it just on a science fiction level doesn't work for me.
Correct.
Um, Crypto as a concept, I've never really liked Crypto. I did like the animated series, the Crypto the Superdog animated series. That was something I watched with my kids a little bit,
Mhm.
and I did like that. Um, but seeing him in live action was just kind of okay. A little bit goes a long way, and then they went with a lot.
Yeah.
So
I tolerate Crypto. He's also not the correct breed for Crypto,
yeah, yeah. But you know why, right?
because it's James Gunn's dog.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. I
Yep.
get it. It's self-insertion, you know,
Yep.
but yeah,
Well, let's take this moment to also talk about Supergirl.
I'm not looking forward to that movie now.
Why?
Her her moment in this is just she's a partier. Like
No, no,
that's
no, no, Ben, no. Have you read the comic it's based on?
I have not.
It is one of the best comics I've ever read. It is so good. It is the
Is this the characterization?
yeah, it is well, it's at the beginning. It's the best it's the best Supergirl comic I've ever read. It's so good. And would you like a major spoiler?
Well, I don't know if our listeners need a major spoiler.
I've got two major spoilers for that movie, and Crypto has to do with one of them.
Oh,
But anyway, in the comic, she is on another planet to drink because it's her 21st birthday. And she can't feel alcohol on Earth. But in this one, they're combining that with the extreme PTSD that she's got from actually growing up on a planet that was destroyed, whereas Superman doesn't have any memory of it.
well, let's see what happens when we get to it. I'm not looking forward to it after having seen her show up for her brief scene where the whole gimmick of the scene in this movie is you're a Boy Scout, I'm a partier, you
Yeah,
know.
it's gonna be good. If it's anything like the comic, it's gonna be fantastic.
Okay. All right. I'll take your word for it.
Okay.
All right. As far as Crypto goes, well, we talked about it, but
Mhm.
it's definitely one of the weaknesses of the movie. And really, it's maybe the weaknesses of this movie all just have to do with James Gunn. Like it's he brings in his dog. Okay, well, he brings in his sensibilities from Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay, well, um, I'm just glad we didn't get Brightburn from this.
Oh yeah, goodness.
All right, the Justice Gang.
The Justice Gang.
I like Mr. Terrific. Hawkgirl was okay. I was not a fan of Green Lantern.
Oh, dude, why?
I just I don't know. There was just something about him that just like the
Are
way
you
he
not
was
a fan
playing
of
it.
Guy Gardner, or are
I
you
am
not a
not.
fan?
I am
Okay.
not a fan. It's not that I hate the character. It's just I'm not a fan of the character. But
This was great. I think he nailed Guy Gardner. He could have been a Guy Gardner is even a little bit more of a jerk than what was portrayed here in this movie. But the part where he gets up in his face and he's like, "You gonna try something, Big Blue?" Like, man,
oh, I liked that.
perfect,
I liked
perfect.
that a lot
Yeah,
because you needed someone who would stand toe to toe with Superman, who's not just Lex Luthor. You know, like
yeah,
that. You needed that. One of the things I would have appreciated about this whole kind of sub angle of the movie would have been, especially at the final climactic battle where he calls these guys in to come and help with the war, is if there had been a couple more characters who also came in with them. We didn't need to know
sure.
who they were. We didn't need to know their backstory. It would have been fine just to bring in a couple more recognizable characters, B-listers, even a C-lister, but bring them in as well, and just make it feel a little bigger. Because as packed as this movie was with characters, when you get to that end portion, then it just felt small. Um, and I mean, they come in, they do the job, you know, they get it done. The other
It's
thing,
it's part of the master plan. They're building up the Justice League. I
I
mean,
I get
this
that, I
this
get
is the
that,
perfect setup for the Justice League International, which Guy Gardner is a main character of.
and they bring in they brought in Metamorpho, and that's good, and
Yep.
that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Is like at the end, okay, so now you have 6 heroes there instead of 4, you know, just 2 more or something like I don't know, where they're like, hey, see you later, yeah, still not going to join your gang, you know, and
Mhm.
or something like that, where it's just something that made the world feel a bit bigger where we're able to reach out and grab and pull in. And yeah, because it's that whole, you know, where's Superman when this part of Batman movie is happening, you know, those kind of things. So not a big deal, not a big deal. Mr. Terrific was a great part of this, the way they used the character to, you know, open the they didn't call it a boom tube, but
The
um,
portal.
open the portal and hold it open and help Lois and allow Lois to be a part of that whole sequence. And um, there's and Hawk Girl. There was a great moment where the president of whatever Barovia or whatever it is,
Yeah.
he's like, "Ha ha, too bad you superhero," and she's like, "I'm not like him," and she
It
drops,
just drops him.
just kills him.
Yeah.
Like that's again good juxtaposition. You need things like that when you have a character you're trying to say this character is this. You also need characters who are the opposite, or the opposite of the opposite. And yeah,
Well, and these guys are corporate
yeah,
sponsored
yeah.
superheroes by Maxwell Lord, played by James Gunn's brother,
Hmm.
Kirk from Gilmore Girls.
For
And
a split second in this movie.
yeah, but I mean, it shows that it's gonna the Justice Gang movie is gonna be great, especially if they bring in characters like Blue Beetle and Fire and Ice, and those types of characters are just right up James Gunn's alley. The one thing I really like the casting for all three of these guys. It actually made me like Mr. Terrific. I've never been a huge fan of his, but he was great in this movie. And the only thing about Hawk Girl is when she doesn't have her costume on, she doesn't have wings. And so I was just very confused by that. I was like, is it her? Does she wear a harness with the wings, but they look very natural here? Is she an alien? So
They
it
didn't
just
have to explain that though. We'll get that later.
sure.
We'll get that later. And again, this movie is so packed. Like
Yeah.
they had to choose. You have to pick and choose what details you're going to bring in here.
Maybe they just forgot.
So I honestly could have done this movie without them. I
Yeah.
think it would have been fine if we didn't have them, but bringing them in did have that, again, that juxtaposition. I mean, Mr. Terrific and Superman. Mr. Terrific, kind of emotionless logic, and Superman's heart, and Superman's compassion and Hawk Girl's practicality. I'm gonna kill a villain.
Mhm.
I mean, she hits regular humans with that mace,
Yeah.
the same mace that she was hitting the kaiju in the eye with.
Yeah.
Like that's and then you have Guy Gardner, who's basically a jerk again, versus Superman's compassion and kindness. And it's good. uh I You can see why Superman's not a part of the gang,
Yeah.
although they are all of the cloth. That was a great
Yeah.
line. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. So but yeah, but again, that's coming from my upbringing. You had the Superman movies, and there's a Supergirl, but it's Superman, and you don't hear about Batman or Gotham or any other characters in that. You have the Batman movies, and yeah, in one Batman movie, I think it was Val Kilmer mentions Gotham or mentions Metropolis, and that's it. It's
George Clooney mentioned Superman directly.
he does.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but the idea being like this is just a Superman movie. I could have done without these guys. They were there. They actually do help thematically as we define what Superman is, who Superman is. I'm good with it, but I'm not great with it. So,
I appreciated it just from this being the ground floor of a new cinematic universe. And unlike Batman v Superman, where Batman was put in there as like an entirely new main character, these guys are there just to add color to the world and
yeah.
set us up to expect uh more from future movies.
And again, that whole issue with the kaiju, like it was a great scene when Superman's trying to be Superman, and then he's thwarted because they come in and they just start being them, and they're gonna kill the beast, the thing. Um, yeah, and you're right though. It does make the world feel a little bigger. We didn't talk about the opening crawl. I love the opening credits where it's like 300 years ago,
Yeah.
metahumans started. 30 years ago, um, a rocket fell to Earth. 3 years ago, Superman started doing stuff. 3 months ago, or was it 3 weeks ago?
I can't
He stopped the war.
remember.
3 days ago, blah blah blah. 3 minutes ago, he lost his first battle.
Yeah.
That was a great opening, and it really set the scene nicely. And then he falls out of the sky, and we actually start this movie with him at his lowest point.
That opening text was actually David Cornsweet's idea, just because he's a big Star Wars fan.
Well, it was great, and that pattern, that's my style. Like I like doing things like that, and so I really appreciated that kind of thing. So, all right,
Nice.
next we have the robots.
Yeah.
Did you throw this in just because you found the image, or did you want to
I
talk about
like
the
them.
robots?
I like the robots. These are the exact design from All Star Superman. And Alan Tudyk plays the main robot
Yeah, yeah.
Venusaur, or Gary. And yeah, I thought they were a great addition. I really like that they didn't explain this, but in the comics, these particular Superman robots are not Kryptonian. They were built by Superman.
You get the impression from this though, because he calls them Superman robots
Yes.
which is kind of a unwieldy name for them, but
Yeah.
he calls them that. I like it. I
Yeah.
like it. It's
I
good.
like it too. I like that, it's not just all Kryptonian heritage stuff. It's fun. And then I like the practical effects. That was great. And yeah, these are fun.
If I had what did he say? If I had feelings, I would feel this way, but I don't, so I'm not going to. And
Yes. I love the line where he says, Crypto can tell that we are artificial and couldn't care in our heart of hearts whether he lives or dies.
I will say I appreciated the laugh out loud moment for me when Crypto goes after the terrific balls.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, yeah, why not? Why
Well, and
not?
I love when he attacks Lex and just is throwing him around, and
He
Superman's reaction is like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Like, he doesn't even go in to try to stop him.
no.
Funny.
But that goes to what your dad was saying about like these animals would kill the world.
Yeah, they would kill everybody.
So, all right. Well, I think we need to wrap this one up.
All right.
But as you can tell, we liked the movie. We had a fun time. We enjoyed it, and that's part of what movies are for. Is it the deepest movie in the world? No, but it says something, and that's
Mhm.
something I appreciated. It says something about being. This is my takeaway, and it goes along with that punk thing. Being kind is hard. It is so much easier to just be about yourself. It is so much easier to lash out. It's so much easier to allow people to get under your skin and hold grudges. Being kind is hard. And that this movie is all about Superman having to find the hard way to deal with the problems. And it does mean he goes and stops a war. It's hard. He has to deal with consequences for doing the right thing that makes sense to him. I stop people from getting killed. Hard stop. Nope, not hard stop. There's political things to think about. And it's not just about being kind and helping people, but it's political. And it's just that whole idea, and this is the weak connection for this for me, is the whole idea of the beatitudes and the upside down kingdom, where Jesus is saying love your neighbor as yourself and pray, pray for those who persecute you, and love your enemy, and those things. That's what Superman was embodying here. Now
Yeah.
it's on a James Gunn level instead of a Jesus Christ level, maybe, but it's there. Being kind is hard. It's harder to do, but that's what being a man is. And I know people are complaining that this is a soft Superman and this is a weak Superman, but I see a person who is trying his hardest to save everyone, to save everyone. It's not a binary, how do I stop Zod? Don't get me wrong. I appreciated the moment in Man of Steel where he's like, do I kill Zod or save the family? There's no way where everyone lives. So I'm going to kill Zod. But Superman in my mind is all about, I'm going to find another way,
Yeah.
and find my way around that binary of this one dies or this one dies. No. I'm going to make sure both live. And that's what you had here. Is this is someone who is trying hard to make sure. And so I appreciated it about this movie, and I appreciated the way that in some on a strong level, this embodies that idea of putting others first. This embodies that idea of protecting the weak. This embodies that idea of extending kindness even to your worst enemy. Now, it doesn't mean you let them walk all over you. It doesn't mean you don't stop them from doing things like sending a clone of you after you to kill you. You still stop that, but Superman believes that even in Lex Luthor, there might be some hope for redemption. And yeah, so that's my takeaway. That's what I really liked about this movie. Is it perfect? No way. By no stretch is it perfect. But is it a good, strong Superman movie? It absolutely is. That's my takeaway. Evan, your turn. Wrap us up.
Well, my takeaway is very similar to yours, Ben. I think, again, the message of the movie, uh, I guess in my mind, saying something is punk rock is like the highest compliment that James Gunn can give something. And so saying that, Superman saying, the kindness and loving others and, everything he does, that's the real punk rock. I mean, that's a fantastic message. And it's something that I think the world needs. And of course, the ultimate way you can get that is read your Bible, because that is the OG message. Superman's based on Moses and Samson and has lots of Jesus metaphors in there and Christian metaphors in there as well, which was what makes him who he is. But yeah, I thought it was a great movie. Again, great characterizations. This is my Superman. I love it. It's my new favorite portrayal of him. I can't wait to see more. And the one thing we didn't talk about, but I'll just end this here. That Daily Planet staff
Yeah.
group, that's begging for an HBO Max miniseries. It's begging for it, and I hope we get one or something like that. So, all right, those are my final words.
Yeah, they cast that as if they were going to be like the movie. Like
Yeah.
that was not cast in a way where it's like these are throwaway characters. No, it's like we get 30 seconds with each of them, but they are cast as if they each were starring in their own movie. So, yeah. All right. Well, thank you everyone for spending time with us. Don't forget to check us out at strangersandaliens.com, where you can listen to a whole bunch more of Evan and I talking about movies and a whole bunch of things like that. But also, please hit like, hit subscribe if you watch this on YouTube. We appreciate it. Having fun making YouTube videos. And I just did the Superman comics one, and I'm doing a Superman movie ranking video. So watch
Ooh.
out for that one. So, yeah. Until next time, though, Godspeed.
Yeah. If you
And
find him unrelatable, you are basically Lex Luthor.